Have you ever wondered why every relationship in your life feels like an uphill battle? Why you can connect deeply with strangers, but struggle to maintain intimacy with those closest to you? And why love seems to slip through your fingers just when you think you've found someone who truly understands you? If you've been experiencing a pattern of challenging, complicated, or short-lived relationships despite your deep capacity for love and connection, then what I'm about to share with you will finally explain why chosen ones face unique relationship challenges that most people never encounter. And more importantly, how to transform these struggles into your greatest source of spiritual growth and authentic love. This isn't about relationship advice or dating tips. This is about understanding the profound spiritual and energetic reasons why awakening souls experience relationships differently than most people. Why your spiritual gifts can actually complicate your love life, and why the very qualities that make you a powerful chosen one can create obstacles in forming lasting, healthy partnerships. I know how isolating and confusing this can be. I know what it's like to feel like you're speaking a different language than potential partners. To have your spiritual nature misunderstood or dismissed. To attract people who are drawn to your light but can't handle your depth. If this resonates with you, you're not alone in this. What you're experiencing is one of the most challenging but necessary aspects of the chosen one's journey. Learning to love authentically while honoring your spiritual nature. The truth is, chosen ones face relationship challenges that go far beyond normal compatibility issues. Your heightened sensitivity, your spiritual mission, your ability to see through illusions, and your deep need for authentic connection create a unique set of relationship dynamics that most people simply cannot understand or navigate. But here's what most spiritual teachers won't tell you. These challenges aren't obstacles to overcome. They're initiations designed to help you develop the kind of love that can transform not just your own life, but the lives of everyone you touch. By the end of this video, you'll understand why your relationships have been so challenging, how your spiritual gifts both complicate and enhance your capacity for love, and most importantly, how to navigate relationships as a chosen one without compromising your authentic self or abandoning your spiritual path. Let me share something deeply personal that happened to me 5 years ago, an experience that taught me everything I needed to know about why chosen ones struggle with relationships and how to transform these struggles into profound spiritual growth. I had just ended what I thought was going to be the relationship, a 3-year partnership with someone who initially seemed to understand and support my spiritual journey. Sarah was intelligent, kind, and even interested in meditation and personal growth for the first year. I felt like I had finally found someone who could walk this path with me. But as my spiritual abilities began to develop more intensely, as I started receiving clearer guidance and experiencing more profound states of consciousness, everything began to change. Sarah started making comments about how I was becoming too intense and too focused on spiritual stuff. She felt like I was drifting away from her, becoming someone she didn't recognize. The breaking point came when I tried to share a profound spiritual experience I'd had during meditation, a download of information about my life purpose that had brought me to tears of gratitude and clarity. Instead of the excitement and support I hoped for, Sarah looked at me with a mixture of concern and frustration and said, "I feel like I'm losing you to this spiritual obsession. I miss the person you used to be before all this awakening stuff." That night, as I sat alone in my apartment after she had left, I felt more confused and heartbroken than I had ever felt. Was my spiritual growth really making me impossible to love? Was I destined to choose between my authentic self and having a meaningful relationship? Why did it seem like every time I grew spiritually, my relationships fell apart But then something profound happened. As I sat in meditation, feeling the pain of this loss, I received a download of understanding that completely transformed how I saw my relationship struggles. I realized that what had happened with Sarah wasn't a failure. It was a completion. Our relationship had served its purpose in my spiritual development. And now we were both being guided toward experiences that would serve our individual growth. I understood that as a chosen one, my relationships weren't just personal connections, they were spiritual assignments. Each person who came into my life was either there to support my mission, to learn from my gifts, to challenge me to grow, or to be served by my presence. And sometimes, the most loving thing I could do was to release someone who wasn't aligned with my highest path, even when it broke my heart. That night, I made a commitment that changed everything. I decided to stop trying to fit into relationships that required me to diminish my spiritual nature, and instead to trust that the universe would bring me connections that could not only handle my authentic self, but would be enhanced by it. Now let me explain why chosen ones struggle with relationships, because understanding these dynamics will transform how you approach love and connection in your own life. The first reason chosen ones struggle with relationships is what I call frequency mismatch syndrome. As you awaken spiritually and develop your gifts, your energetic frequency begins to operate at a higher vibration than most people. This creates a natural barrier between you and potential partners who haven't undergone similar spiritual development. Think of it like radio frequencies. When two radios are tuned to different stations, they can't communicate clearly. There's static, interference, or complete silence. Similarly, when you're operating at a higher spiritual frequency, and your partner is operating at a lower frequency, communication becomes difficult, misunderstandings multiply, and you both feel like you're speaking different languages. This frequency difference manifests in many ways. You might find that conversations that once felt engaging now feel superficial or draining. Activities that used to bring you joy together now feel empty or meaningless. Your partner might complain that you've become too serious or too deep, while you feel frustrated by their focus on what seems like trivial concerns. The challenge is that this frequency difference isn't anyone's fault. Your partner isn't wrong for operating at their current level of consciousness, and you're not wrong for having evolved beyond that level. But the incompatibility is real, and it often leads to the painful realization that love alone isn't enough to bridge certain spiritual gaps. Stay with me, because what comes next will explain the second major reason, and this one will shock you, because it reveals how your greatest spiritual gifts can become your biggest relationship obstacles. The second reason chosen ones struggle with relationships is empathic overwhelm and boundary confusion. Your heightened sensitivity and natural empathic abilities, which are incredible gifts in your spiritual work, can create serious challenges in intimate relationships. As an empath, you naturally absorb the emotions, energy, and even thoughts of people around you. In romantic relationships, this means you're constantly processing not just your own emotional experience, but your partner's as well. You feel their stress, their fears, their unexpressed anger, their hidden sadness, often more clearly than they feel it themselves. This creates several problems. First, you might find yourself trying to fix or heal your partner's emotional issues, taking on the role of therapist rather than equal partner. Second, you might lose touch with your own emotional needs because you're so focused on managing your partner's energy. Third, you might attract partners who are unconsciously drawn to your healing abilities, but aren't ready to do their own emotional work. I remember working with Jennifer, a member of our community, who described this perfectly. She said, "Every relationship I've been in, I become like an emotional sponge. I absorb all their pain, all their trauma, all their unhealed wounds. and I think I can love them enough to heal it all. But I end up exhausted, resentful, and completely disconnected from my own needs. The empathic overwhelm is compounded by boundary confusion. Many chosen ones struggle with healthy boundaries because their natural inclination is to give, to serve, to heal. In relationships, this can lead to codependency, people-pleasing, and the loss of individual identity. Now, here's where it gets interesting. The third reason chosen ones struggle with relationships is what I call mission interference anxiety. Deep down, you know you came here with a specific spiritual mission, and part of you fears that romantic relationships will distract you from or interfere with your purpose. This fear isn't entirely unfounded. Many chosen ones have experienced relationships that did pull them away from their spiritual path, that demanded so much energy and attention that they had little left for their spiritual development or service work. You might have noticed that when you're deeply involved in a relationship, your meditation practice suffers, your intuitive abilities seem less accessible, or you feel less connected to your spiritual guidance. This creates an unconscious conflict between your desire for love and your commitment to your mission. Part of you longs for deep connection and partnership, while another part of you fears that opening your heart will compromise your spiritual effectiveness. This internal conflict often manifests as self-sabotage in relationships, pushing away partners just as things get serious, or choosing partners who are clearly incompatible so you have an excuse to leave. The anxiety is intensified by the fact that many chosen ones have past life memories or soul-level awareness of having been forced to choose between love and mission in previous incarnations. Monks, nuns, shamans, and spiritual teachers throughout history have often been required to remain celibate or single to maintain their spiritual power. This cellular memory can create deep fear around combining romantic love with spiritual service. If you're still watching, you're definitely someone who has felt this tension between love and mission. And I want you to understand that this conflict is actually pointing you toward a higher possibility, the integration of love and purpose in ways that enhance both. The fourth reason is authenticity versus acceptance paradox. As a chosen one, you have a deep need to be seen and loved for who you truly are, including your spiritual gifts, your unusual perspectives, and your commitment to growth and service. But you also have a human need for acceptance and belonging, which can tempt you to hide or minimize your spiritual nature to fit into relationships. This creates an impossible situation. If you hide your true self to gain acceptance, you end up in relationships where you feel unseen and unloved for who you really are. But if you show your authentic self, you risk rejection, misunderstanding, or being labeled as too weird or too intense. Many chosen ones develop what I call spiritual closeting. They learn to compartmentalize their spiritual life, sharing it only with certain people or in certain contexts. They might meditate in secret, hide their spiritual books, or avoid talking about their intuitive experiences. This compartmentalization creates internal stress and prevents the deep intimacy that comes from being fully known and accepted. The paradox is intensified by the fact that your spiritual gifts often make you incredibly attractive to others initially. People are drawn to your light, your wisdom, your healing presence, but once they get closer and realize the depth of your spiritual commitment, they may feel intimidated, inadequate, or threatened by what they perceive as your specialness. Stay with me, because what I'm about to share will reveal the fifth reason. And this one explains why even spiritually minded partners can struggle to understand your unique path. The fifth reason chosen ones struggle with relationships is spiritual hierarchy and comparison dynamics. Even when you find partners who are interested in spirituality, you often encounter issues related to spiritual ego, competition, and comparison that can poison the relationship. Some partners may feel threatened by your spiritual abilities or progress, leading to subtle as or not so subtle attempts to diminish your gifts or slow your growth. They might make comments like, "You think you're so enlightened," or "Not everything is about spirituality, you know." This is often their ego's way of protecting itself from feeling spiritually inadequate. Conversely, you might find yourself in relationships with people who put you on a spiritual pedestal, seeing you as their guru or spiritual teacher, rather than their equal partner. While this might feel flattering initially, it creates an unhealthy dynamic where you're expected to be spiritually perfect, and your partner avoids taking responsibility for their own growth. There's also the challenge of spiritual bypassing in relationships. Some spiritually minded partners use spiritual concepts to avoid dealing with practical relationship issues. They might say things like, "We're just having this conflict because we're clearing karma," or "If we were really evolved, we wouldn't have these problems." This spiritual bypassing prevents the honest communication and practical problem solving that healthy relationships require. The sixth reason is what I call accelerated growth incompatibility. Chosen ones tend to grow and evolve rapidly, especially once their awakening process begins. You might find that you outgrow relationships quickly, not because you're becoming arrogant or superior, but because you're genuinely becoming a different person at a pace that your partner can't match. This rapid growth can be destabilizing for partners who prefer consistency and predictability. They fell in love with one version of you, and now they're faced with someone who has new interests, new priorities, new ways of seeing the world. Even if your growth is positive, it can feel threatening to someone who isn't growing at the same pace. The challenge is that you can't slow down your spiritual evolution to accommodate a partner's comfort level, but you also can't force someone else to grow faster than they're ready to. This often leads to the painful realization that you've grown beyond the relationship, even when there's still love present now. Here's where it gets even more complex. The seventh reason chosen ones struggle with relationships is soul contract completion cycles. Many of your relationships, especially the significant ones, are actually soul contracts, agreements made before incarnation to help each other learn specific lessons or heal particular wounds. When these contracts are complete, the relationship naturally ends. Regardless of how much love is present or how compatible you seem on the surface, this can be incredibly confusing and painful because the end of the relationship doesn't necessarily correlate with any obvious problems or incompatibilities. You might find yourself in relationships that are intense and transformative, but relatively short-lived. These connections serve their purpose in your spiritual development and then naturally dissolve, leaving you wondering what went wrong, when actually everything went exactly as it was meant to. Understanding this concept can help you approach relationships with more acceptance and less attachment to specific outcomes. Not every relationship is meant to last forever, and the end of a relationship doesn't necessarily mean failure. It might mean completion. Fellow chosen ones, I want you to understand something crucial about these relationship challenges. They're not punishments or obstacles to overcome. They're initiations designed to help you develop the capacity for authentic love. Love that doesn't require you to diminish yourself. Love that enhances rather than compromises your spiritual mission. Love that serves your highest evolution and the highest good of all involved. But here's what most people don't realize. The solution to these relationship challenges isn't to find someone who's exactly like you spiritually. The solution is to develop what I call conscious relationship mastery, the ability to love authentically while maintaining your spiritual integrity. This mastery involves several key components. First, you need to develop energetic sovereignty, the ability to maintain your own energetic field and emotional center regardless of what's happening with your partner. This means learning to love without losing yourself, to be empathic without being overwhelmed, to support without enabling. Second, you need to practice radical authenticity from the beginning of relationships. Instead of hiding your spiritual nature and revealing it gradually, you need to be upfront about who you are and what you're committed to. This will naturally filter out people who can't handle your authentic self and attract those who can. Third, you need to release the need for your partner to be your spiritual twin. They don't need to have the same gifts you have or be at the same level of development. They just need to respect and support your spiritual path, even if they don't fully understand it. Fourth, you need to trust divine timing and orchestration. The universe is constantly arranging connections that serve your highest good. Your job is to stay aligned with your authentic self and trust that the right people will be drawn into your life when you're ready for them. And finally, you need to understand that your capacity for love is one of your greatest spiritual gifts. Every relationship, whether it lasts a month or a lifetime, is an opportunity to practice unconditional love, to heal old wounds, to serve another soul's growth, and to learn more about your own heart. The world needs chosen ones who can model healthy, conscious relationships. We need examples of partnerships that enhance rather than diminish spiritual growth, that support individual missions while creating something beautiful together, that demonstrate how love can be both deeply human and profoundly spiritual. Your relationship struggles haven't been failures, they've been preparation. Every heartbreak has opened your heart wider. Every disappointment has clarified what you truly need. Every ending had space for something better to enter your life. Now, here's how to transform your relationships struggles into conscious relationship mastery. First, do your own inner work, heal your wounds, clear your patterns, develop your spiritual gifts, and become the person you want to attract. You can't create a healthy relationship from an unhealthy inner state. Second, get clear about your non-negotiables. What aspects of your spiritual path are you unwilling to compromise? What kind of support do you need from a partner? What values must be shared for the relationship to work? Third, practice energetic boundaries in all your relationships, not just romantic ones. Learn to love without losing yourself, to give without depleting yourself, to be present without absorbing others' energy. Fourth, trust your intuition about people. Your spiritual gifts give you the ability to see beyond surface appearances. If something feels off energetically, pay attention to that guidance, even if the person seems perfect on paper. Fifth, be patient with divine timing. The universe is preparing both you and your future partner for your eventual meeting. Trust that everything is unfolding perfectly, even when it doesn't feel that way. And finally, remember that your mission as a chosen one includes modeling what conscious love looks like. Every relationship is an opportunity to practice the kind of love that heals, that serves, that elevates everyone involved. Your time is coming, fellow chosen one. Actually, your time is here. The relationship struggles you've experienced have been preparing you for a love that can handle your light, support your mission, and enhance your spiritual journey. You have more capacity for love than you realize, and that capacity is one of your greatest spiritual gifts. You're exactly where you need to be in your relationship journey, even if it feels lonely or challenging right now. And your mission includes demonstrating what authentic love looks like in a world that desperately needs examples of conscious partnership. Remember this: the right person for you won't be threatened by your spiritual gifts. They'll be inspired by them. They won't try to dim your light, they'll celebrate it. They won't see your mission as competition. They'll see it as an honor to support. Trust your path, trust your heart, and trust that love, real love, is not only possible for you but inevitable. The universe is conspiring to bring you connections that serve your highest good and support your spiritual mission. Your relationship struggles are transforming into relationship mastery. Your capacity for love is expanding. Your heart is opening to possibilities you haven't even imagined yet. Keep growing, keep loving, keep trusting. The world needs what you have to offer, including your unique capacity for conscious, authentic love. Welcome to your emergence as a master of conscious relationships. Your struggles have been your training, and now you're ready to love in ways that transform not just your own life, but the lives of everyone you touch. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell, because you won't want to miss what's coming next. This isn't just a video. It's a calling for the chosen oneness like you.